I, 27 male, had been with Carrie, 27, for 10 years. We had been best friends since we met at the age of 12. In high school, we had tons of amazing memories. We traveled to several countries together and made long-term work for 3 years while separated due to studies though. Now I'm having trouble believing anything was real. Last Thursday, I proposed to her in Street Lucia. Not in front of anyone. Mind you, I wanted it just to be private. She didn't say anything and I was thinking, shit, did I say or do something wrong? She started crying and she said she had something to explain to me. She didn't want to marry me because she had been sleeping with a coworker whom she said was just a friend for around 3 months. She said she rationalized. It was just a thing that would pass. But it continued and she said she loves me so much more than I'll ever understand that. I've helped her so much and she doesn't even know why she's done this. She said she loved me too much to marry me knowing she'd done what she did. She doesn't love the guy. It was just sex and she had been trying to stop the affair. But I proposed before that happened. And she said she knew when I was kneeling that she couldn't marry me. Not after everything I had done for her. So she told me, I feel like my whole world has shattered. We had an awkward flight home on Friday evening and haven't spoken since. She has tried calling me, but I haven't answered and I have until Monday off. So I'm just here. I've barely eaten. I feel like there's a black hole in my stomach, draining everything I have mentally. I can't wrap my head around the fact that she was cheating, that she lied, that she hid it from me. My sister apparently had some words for her. I'm trying to pretend I'm okay, but not every morning that I've woken up since last week. Friday morning has just been bleak. I love her so much, but I have no intention of getting back together. I don't think I would ever be able to trust her again. Much less, forgive her for a very long time. My best friend bought a 6-pack yesterday and we drank in the evening. I cried my eyes out in the shower last night. I never cry. Not even when my mom, who I was extremely close to, passed away, but I was sobbing like a child last night. And honestly, I would have loved it. If my mom had been there to tell me it would be okay. My sister brought over some breakfast this morning and basically made me eat because she knows I haven't really been eating lately. Having had zero appetite anyway. I'm sorry, this post is so incoherent. Any tips for someone on how to best move forward and where to go from here, because I've got nothing. No ideas, no clue. I feel like a zombie. I'm so sorry you're going through this. She was a big part of your life for a long time. It's going to hurt, it will take time to heal. Let yourself feel what you feel and do whatever you need to. In order to mourn the future you were going to share, use your support system, stay in touch with friends and family that care about. You don't isolate yourself, and finally let go of any contact with your ex. Block, social media, delete her number, etc. Allow yourself to move on. It's very painful when a loved one betrays us, but you need to remember that you have a very bright future in front of you. Don't waste it on someone who doesn't or didn't respect you. I wish you the best of luck. Now, let's get into today's second story. I've been married to my wife for 4 years now, and we've been in a relationship for 7. We've been through some really trying times. She was very upset with me early on in the relationship for not having a chosen career path and not moving quickly through college, largely because of the lack of direction. But I did eventually pick a direction: nursing. She, on the other hand, chose medicine, as in being a doctor, knew early on what it would take and moved quickly towards it. She went to medical school, we moved in together, and after a year of me being a stay-at-home husband doing cooking and cleaning and weekly, sometimes daily sessions of moral support and encouragement. During her crippling panic attacks, deep bouts of depression and feelings of helplessness and isolation, and ultimately succeeding wildly in her first year of medical school, we decided to get married. Second year of medical school, I got into nursing school and had less time for house duty and moral support. But I was still doing many of those tasks. She did even better in school, felt more stable and confident, and we both did great in school. She then started clinical rotations. This involved moving all over the state for months. At a time, we talked daily, went weeks without seeing each other. Both continued to do great in school and felt more lonely but strong in our relationship. Then we graduated, she got into residency across the country and we moved and both started working at this point. The only friends that we regularly interact with were a group of people we played video games with on Discord. They were close friends and things went great. Initially, we had more time together and so the relationship got even stronger. We were finally making money and we were paying down her loans. Medical school debt is serious. I started really succeeding at work. I was given a few raises and thus more responsibilities. I became a full-time charge nurse, getting all kinds of overtime and incentives to work more. And I started making a lot more money. So naturally I put in more hours and my wife was in full support of this. She, however, started struggling at work and got more and more depressed and anxious. Our hours didn't match up and we stopped seeing each other more than a couple of hours a day max, with only a few days a month off of work together. So we planned a vacation together. We decided to go to the country that most of our Discord friends lived in and meet them, and we have a week together like we used to. Another crazy adventure. Then my D-Day hit out of nowhere. She sat me down and asked me if it would be okay if she had sex with one of our Discord friends, the guy that owns the server. I obviously asked where that even came from. I thought she might just want to do it as a novelty because he's a 30-year-old virgin. She told me that she asked him about it and he said it would only be okay if I agreed to it. Naturally, I wanted to know why that would even come up. So I started digging for more info. She told me that it was her idea, that she had been planning on asking me too, that it was no big deal and that I could say no and it would be all right. Something about it stunk and I hinted to her that I thought so. I told her that I didn't want us to mess around with polyamory because I've seen it get messy before. Every single time I've seen it tried, and because I personally had a history of being cheated on and had very strong emotions involved within having any romantic involvement outside of our relationship. I let her know that even if it was mutually agreed upon by all sides, I would still have a strong negative emotional reaction to it, that it would still really bother me that she even asked. We had this conversation hypothetically at the start of the relationship. And I made it clear that this was off limits. Not to mention, most people tend to develop strong feelings when sex is involved, and that I suspected that such a request wouldn't be made unless those feelings were already mutually developing. This started the process of me learning exactly how much has been going on behind my back. She told me that she had been spending large amounts of time with this guy in Discord, that she confessed most of her fears, problems and insecurities about work to him, that she started looking forward to talking to him the whole day. She was at work and he occupied her mind most of the time when she was idle or when I was not home. She told me that she did think it was out of control, that she had crossed the line and that she was sorry. She said she was just looking for an escape from life and that I was never around anymore. Which is true. I'm at work most of the time. And so is she, and she said that she wished she had just started smoking again. All I could manage to think or say was that I was angry at her and at him, and that I would need to think about how I was going to handle it, and that I didn't want things to change. I didn't want to lose my friends or my wife. I told her it was out of the question and that it would be a deal breaker if it continued, and that I would try to talk to the guy and get things back to normal. She agreed to put a stop to any romantic involvement. We ran out of time to talk and we had to go to bed so we could get to work in the morning. All we could agree on was that we wanted our relationship to stay healthy and we would need to discuss this more to facilitate that. I spent the next few days growing increasingly more agitated at my work. She mentioned several times that the guy was talking about Pour More in Discord and suggested that we read a book about it. I started to notice exactly how much time she spent with him in Discord while I was at work. I was losing my focus and I have no time to deal with the situation and just couldn't concentrate. I was avoiding Discord at home because the guy was always online, a mom's basement kind of guy. I was just focusing on not exploding at every moment. Finally, I decided to get on her computer and look at her Discord chat with him. I found out that she had been having what amounted to phone sex with him, that she had said she had to stop, and probably the next day she decided to do it again. I couldn't sleep that night. Not a wink. She was in the middle of rounds. I decided to get out of bed 4 hours early to just tell the guy my feelings over text and ask him specifically to promise to refuse any romantic advances from her if she tried to initiate it, or that I would have to cut contact with him and insist she did the same. He told me he agreed not to seek any romantic activity. I pushed the matter over and over, trying to get him to agree to this. He basically told me that he didn't believe in the ownership of other humans, and that we just saw the world differently, and that he thought she and I should seek professional help because the next guy may not be as honorable as him. That was the last time I talked to him. I went to work in a very unsafe state for the people I was supposed to be caring for. Miraculously, everything went fine. She texted me when she got home that she talked to him, and then she asked what happened. So I told her to pull up my Discord and read it. She really didn't like what he had to say. This was the last time she talked to him since I told her we needed to both cut contact with him. And she agreed. I also told her I knew that more had been going on, and I wanted her to tell me. She just started crying and said she didn't want me to hate her forever. She did seem extremely remorseful. I tried to reassure her that I was just as committed to making it work. If she would just be honest with me and make some promises. She said she couldn't be totally honest about everything yet, but promised she would do anything to make me feel more trust. Then she changed the subject to her feeling like a complete and utter failure at everything. The conversation turned to her work, and she got tired and went to bed the next day. She was told she had failed her pediatrics rotation and would need to repeat it. This sent her over the edge. I've never seen her so low. I was worried she might try to kill herself. She asked me to call into work, which I did, and I spent the day just trying to make the world seem better for her long talks, waffles at dinner, and a Star Trek marathon. This part just now happened. Now she's asleep and the reality of my life is coming back. She cheated on me immediately after agreeing to stop doing so again. I'm severed from my friend group, maybe forever. I don't want to tell my friends and family about it because I don't want them to hate her, and I don't want to push the matter with her because I'm afraid I'll push her over the edge when she's at her weakest. I'm just lost and looking for some way to vent everything. Any thoughts at all are welcome. I obviously want to make it work. I have major trust issues now, and I'm torn between being raging, angry, and wanting to help support her through this low point. I just feel kind of alone in this. I do feel a little better just writing this out now. Even if no one reads that OP, she's not the victim here. She's the abuser. She cheated. You shouldn't be trying to make her feel better. She should be taking responsibility for what she did. I strongly urge you to stop rescuing her from herself and think of how to rescue yourself from this toxicity. I wish you the best of luck, OP. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoy listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already.